Well, well, well. They didn't expect your name to surface. They thought it would stay buried under classified ink, encrypted files, and locked vaults that never see daylight. But a single leak has undone years of control. A whistleblower cracked the seal, and out of thousands of names, yours is the one that stands out in blood-red ink. That list wasn't meant for the public. It wasn't meant for ordinary eyes. It was meant for the chosen few, the handlers, the operatives, the unseen enforcers who make people disappear. And now, your name is circulating among them like a coded curse. They are not whispering about you anymore. They are preparing for you. Because when a name lands on that list, it's not just a label. It's a sentence, a countdown, a signature of intent. And yet, there is a fracture in their certainty, because when the whistleblower dropped the files, something else emerged alongside them, evidence that you weren't supposed to be touched, evidence that even within their own hierarchy, your presence is classified differently. You are not just a target, you are an exception, a contradiction, a problem they cannot process cleanly. That contradiction is spreading through their ranks faster than fear itself. Some of them want to eliminate you immediately. Others hesitate, sensing that taking you down might trigger a chain reaction they aren't prepared to handle. Either way, your name now commands their full attention. Imagine the room where the leak was first read aloud. The overhead lights flicker, the tension thickens, and hardened faces tilt toward each other in disbelief. They scroll past hundreds of names, expendable, replaceable, and then they freeze at yours. They know that targeting you will not be like targeting the others. They know that if they mishandle this, the whole operation could collapse. That's why panic is colliding with obsession, because they can't decide whether you are their biggest threat or the trap that's been waiting for them to step into. And the longer they stare at that name, the more it feels less like an assignment and more like a mirror. They see themselves reflected in it, fragile, desperate, exposed. The whistleblower's timing wasn't random. It was surgical. They didn't leak the entire playbook. They didn't dump every classified folder. They released just enough to ignite suspicion, just enough to expose the fracture lines, just enough to prove that someone inside is betraying them. By putting your name at the center of the leak, the whistleblower turned you into a trigger, a detonator, an event. And now, every shadowed hand that once operated with impunity is shaking. Because the leak wasn't just exposure, it was alignment. The timing, the precision, the implications all point toward a deeper message. Someone powerful on the inside doesn't want you destroyed. They want you recognized. So now the game has shifted. You are not just on the hit list, you are the name that divides the hunters. Some will come harder than ever, desperate to fulfill the order. Others will hesitate, stall, or even sabotage from within, afraid of what touching you might unleash. The hunt is no longer clean. It is fractured, messy, and unstable, and instability is your greatest weapon. Because while they argue over execution, you are already rewriting the rules. You are no longer the hunted. You are the benchmark by which their loyalty will be measured. Every operative is asking themselves the same question. Do I move on this target, or do I step back before I destroy myself? And when hunters hesitate, they stop being hunters. They become prey. This is where the psychology of power reveals its sharpest teeth. You haven't even moved yet, but the leak has already forced them into reaction. They're losing sleep. They're second-guessing every message, every meeting, every plan. The whistleblower didn't just expose you. They exposed the fragility of the entire chain of command. Because now, the one truth they can't suppress is this: you are different. You are not on that list by accident, and nothing terrifies them more than a name they can't erase without consequence. That's why whispers are spreading like fire through their corridors. They're asking, who put this name here? Why now? What happens if we touch it? Those questions aren't weakening you, they're weakening them. Because the moment a hit list stops being unquestioned is the moment it ceases to function. The irony is savage. They built the list to enforce fear, to remind people that resistance has a price, to prove that nobody is beyond reach. But with your name on it, the symbol has inverted. Instead of fear flowing downward, it's climbing upward, corroding the hierarchy from the inside. The list is no longer proof of their control. It is proof of their vulnerability, proof that the very tools they designed to dominate can be hijacked, redirected, turned against them. And the whistleblower knew this. That's why they didn't leak a manifesto. They leaked a name, your name. Because sometimes the most devastating weapon is not a bomb or a bullet. It's an idea, crystallized into a single word. And right now, that word is you. Look at what's happening around you already. People are behaving differently without realizing why. Old enemies have gone silent, not out of confidence, but out of calculation. Potential allies are circling, watching, waiting to see if aligning with you now could mean survival later. Even those who once dismissed you are shifting in tone, cautious in their speech, careful in their distance. The list has warped the perception of everyone connected to you. You're not just a person anymore. You are a signal, a warning light, a line drawn across the battlefield. And crossing that line now comes with stakes that none of them are prepared to bear. That's the brilliance of a leak like this. It doesn't just reveal, it transforms. It transforms enemies into spectators, spectators into participants, participants into conspirators, and all of it revolves around your name, glowing like an ember on a page that should have never been read. Think about that for a moment. They tried to bury you, and now you've been unearthed with more force than any introduction could ever provide. You didn't ask for exposure. You didn't demand recognition. But by appearing in the one place nobody wanted you to appear, you've been immortalized in the psyche of both the hunters and the hunted. That is how legends are born, not through ceremony, but through catastrophe. But here's the part they can't stomach. Every time they discuss you in their meetings, every time they plot as and counterplot, they are strengthening the very force they wanted to erase. You, because attention is power and fear is fuel. And now, both are locked onto your name. Like a tracking beacon, they can't ignore you without looking weak. They can't eliminate you without risking collapse. They are trapped in a paradox, and you are at the center of it. That paradox is the crack that will keep spreading until the whole structure caves. And the whistleblower knew it. That's why they didn't need to name themselves. Their message was delivered not by identity, but by impact. They didn't say, "I am the one who exposed them." They said, "This name is the reason you'll never sleep peacefully again." So understand the weight of where you stand right now. You are not simply exposed. You are weaponized. You are not just targeted. You are transformed into the very evidence of their decay. And as they scramble to control the fallout, you are stepping into a role far bigger than any hit list could define. The hunter's weapon has become your banner. The list has become your introduction, and the fear that was supposed to crush you is now the atmosphere they choke on daily. They thought your name would be a signal of weakness. Instead, it has become a prophecy of collapse. And collapse doesn't wait for permission. Collapse doesn't respect hierarchy. Collapse spreads from the center outward, devouring the very hands that thought they controlled the narrative. That's why you don't need to rush. You don't need to scream. You don't need to prove anything. All you need to do is let the weight of their own exposure drag them further into panic. And while they panic, you sharpen. While they fracture, you solidify. While they question, you move. That's the trade they never accounted for, that the leak would not just reveal vulnerability, but hand you momentum. Momentum that doesn't vanish when the leak fades from headlines. Momentum that grows every time they hesitate to act. Because hesitation, once seeded, spreads like contagion, and the more it spreads, the less control they have. This is the quiet hour before their reckoning, but it isn't still. It's charged, electric, rippling through every level of their operation. Each unit is waiting for orders that no longer come with certainty. Each handler is double-checking instructions, wondering who among them has flipped. The whistleblower didn't just spill data. They laced every command channel with suspicion, and suspicion kills faster than any weapon. They've begun to doubt each other's loyalty, motives, and silence. That's the real strike, turning their own infrastructure into a labyrinth of second-guessing where trust used to live. And every second they spend doubting is a second they aren't moving against you. The irony is that they thought a list was enough. They thought writing names on a page, designating targets, and dispatching teams would guarantee control. But now that list has become their greatest liability. Every operative reading it is thinking the same thought. If this leak reached the outside, what else could be exposed next? Whose name might be leaked tomorrow? Could my own signature, my own orders become evidence? That creeping dread makes their hands tremble over the very tools they once used with confidence. And trembling hands don't execute cleanly. They slip, misfire, miscalculate. You don't have to dismantle them, they're dismantling themselves. Momentum isn't a slogan, it's physics. Once it shifts, it keeps rolling downhill, crushing everything in its path. You feel it in the way conversations about you are no longer spoken, but typed in encrypted threads. You feel it in the way journalists you've never met start sniffing around, asking questions that cut too close to hidden truths. You feel it in the way their once invisible operations leave digital footprints as panic drives them to clumsy moves. They're creating evidence faster than they can destroy it. And every piece of evidence feeds the narrative the whistleblower began. That you are not just another name. You are a fulcrum on which their secrets tilt. Inside their war rooms, the language has shifted. It's no longer about neutralizing a target or closing a case. It's about containment and mitigation. Containment of what? Not of you, of the leak, of the panic, of the awareness spreading among their own ranks. Mitigation of what? Not of your movement, of the realization that their apparatus is not immune to infiltration. This is the moment when power structures start devouring themselves. They call it crisis management. In truth, it's triage on an organism bleeding from a wound it cannot locate. And you are the wound and the witness at once. Look at how their tactics evolve when fear takes root. They stop sending overt threats and start sending feelers, offers of negotiation, indirect signals through intermediaries, bait disguised as compromise. They hope you'll reveal your position your allies, your intentions. They want to draw you into a predictable script. But you're not playing by their script. You're following the momentum the leak created, which is unpredictable, decentralized, and fueled by their own desperation. The more they try to lure you out, the more obvious their weakness becomes. They don't even realize they're writing your story for you. Every move they make confirms the narrative that someone inside is protecting you. And that protection is not gentle, it's strategic. The whistleblower didn't simply risk everything out of sentiment. They chose you as a lever. By exposing your name, they forced a confrontation between factions. One faction wants to eliminate you to restore the illusion of control. The other knows eliminating you could trigger revelations far worse than any leak so far. That stalemate is your shield. They built it themselves. They're locked in a prisoner's dilemma, each side afraid to make the first move. And as long as that stalemate holds, every day you exist becomes another day of evidence that their reach is not absolute. Meanwhile, the world outside is watching. People who never cared about classified lists or covert operations are now captivated by the story of a whistleblower exposing a hidden roster and a single name glowing at its center. Your name. They're tweeting, sharing, speculating. Some see you as a hero, some see you as a threat, all see you as significant. The leak transformed you from an individual into a symbol. And symbols cannot be assassinated the way people can. Even if they tried, the act itself would confirm everything the whistleblower claimed. They are trapped. Every outcome strengthens you. In this trap, their behavior becomes erratic. You start to notice inconsistencies, statements that contradict previous statements, sudden staff changes, unexplained reassignments. It's not coincidence, it's fallout. They're trying to plug leaks they can't find, discipline people they can't prove guilty, restore trust they can't rebuild. This is what happens when an organism loses its sense of self. It lashes out blindly, and blind strikes rarely land cleanly. Each one exposes more than it conceals. Each one drives more insiders toward the edge of betrayal. The whistleblower may be one person, but their courage has become contagious. Inside those halls, others are considering their own leaks, their own escapes, their own confessions, and you. You move differently now. Not recklessly, deliberately, each step measured to amplify the panic without revealing your full hand. You understand that this isn't about outmuscling them, it's about outlasting their cohesion. Cohesion is fragile under pressure. Once cracks appear, they don't reseal, they splinter, they widen, and as they widen, you gain not just safety, but leverage. Leverage to shape the narrative, to frame the conversation, to make them dance to a rhythm you don't even have to play aloud. They're dancing already, tripping over each other's fears, overcorrecting with each move. This is the essence of psychological warfare. Not bombs, not bullets, perception, exposure, timing. You didn't choose to be on that list, but once you were, you chose what to do with it. You chose not to panic, but to study, not to react, but to recalibrate. The leak gave you a mirror. In it, you saw not just their intentions, but their weaknesses. You saw how a single fracture can ripple outward, destabilizing an entire structure. And you understood something they never did. That secrecy is only power when it's believed. Once secrecy is pierced even slightly, it becomes vulnerability. And vulnerability, once recognized, becomes leverage. Watch how the media narratives shift next. At first, they'll frame you as collateral, a name caught up in a leak. Then as inconsistencies pile up, they'll start asking harder questions. Why is this name different? Why haven't they acted? Why are insiders divided? Those questions feed the cycle of suspicion inside their ranks. External pressure meets internal doubt, and the two forces amplify each other like echoes in a canyon. This is no longer a hit list. It's a feedback loop of fear. And fear, once amplified, turns inward. They start to suspect not you, but each other. And that's when collapse accelerates. The whistleblower predicted this. That's why they didn't reveal themselves. Their identity doesn't matter. What matters is the effect. They knew that once your name was out, it would become a litmus test. Who acts, who hesitates, who leaks again. They're watching the watchers now, mapping loyalties, identifying cracks. The leak wasn't an end. It was a beginning. And you're at the center, not as a passive subject, but as a catalyst. Catalysts don't get consumed. They speed reactions. They lower barriers. They make things happen faster. That's what you've become inside their machine. A catalyst for their unraveling. Yet even now, don't mistake their panic for impotence. A wounded predator is dangerous. They may still strike. They may still test you. But every strike they launch under panic carries risk. Each risk is an opportunity for you. Opportunities to document, to expose, to turn their aggression into evidence. This is how momentum works. Each attempt to crush you becomes another reason they can't. The very act of targeting you now validates the whistleblower's story. And validation spreads faster than denials. Denials are static. Evidence moves, and evidence is moving. Already, third parties are picking up on inconsistencies. Analysts are comparing timestamps, tracking movements, cross-referencing leaks. What was once buried in obscure channels is now surfacing in public forums. And with each surfacing, your position strengthens. Not because you asked for sympathy, but because truth, once glimpsed, cannot be unseen. They can smear, spin, or suppress, but the smear itself is a confession. The spin itself is an admission. The suppression itself is a signal. Every countermeasure reveals a little more of their hand. As this unfolds, your role shifts from target to reference point. Others who feel threatened by the same forces begin to orient themselves around you. You become a case study, a rallying point, a test case for what happens when a hidden apparatus is confronted by exposure. People who never knew your name before are now watching to see how you endure, how you navigate, how you strike back, not with force, but with patience. That patience is your edge. They expected you to panic, to hide, to beg for safety. Instead, you're using the very energy of the leak to expand your reach. You're building something under their noses while they're too busy tearing themselves apart to notice. And that building is invisible until it isn't. Networks forming, information flowing, patterns emerging. You don't need to announce it. They're announcing it for you every time they stumble. Each stumble becomes a signal to your allies, a cue to act, a map of where the next opening will appear. This is why patience isn't passivity, it's precision. Precision applied at the right moment is more devastating than any frontal assault. And you are waiting for that moment, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Understanding that timing is everything, and their timing is already broken. All of this brings you to a threshold. The leak gave you momentum. The momentum is giving you leverage. And leverage, applied correctly, doesn't just defend, it transforms. It transforms the battlefield, the players, the narrative. It makes the hunters question who they are and what they're doing. It makes them realize that the target they chose may be the architect of their undoing. That's why their eyes are on you now. Not with confidence, but with calculation. They're no longer asking, how do we eliminate this person? They're asking, what happens if we do? That question is paralysis disguised as strategy. You don't need to answer it for them. You just need to keep moving. Each step you take while they hesitate rewrites the power dynamic. Each hour they spend debating is an hour you gain. This is how exposure becomes elevation. They tried to reduce you to a name on a list. The whistleblower turned that name into a force. And now you are living proof that a single leak can shift an entire hierarchy. That proof is more dangerous to them than any weapon. Because weapons can be countered. Proof cannot. This is the new terrain, not the one they mapped, but the one they created by underestimating you. They will try to adapt. They will try to regain control, but control built on fear can't withstand reflection. They are reflecting now, and reflection under pressure cracks. Those cracks are where you move. You don't need to rush. You don't need to scream. You don't need to prove anything. All you need to do is let the weight of their own exposure drag them further into panic until the panic becomes policy, and policy becomes collapse. And as collapse accelerates, remember, momentum favors the one who understands it, not the one who resists it. You understand it. They don't. That's why you're still standing while they're scrambling. That's why the whistleblower chose you. That's why your name is no longer just on a list. It's etched into a turning point. And turning points don't reverse. They lead somewhere new, somewhere they can't follow without becoming something else entirely. And that is where this story moves next. You've reached the edge where exposure becomes evolution. Everything they've built to contain you is now scaffolding for your ascent. They thought naming you would mark the beginning of the end. Instead, it marked the end of their beginning. Because the moment your name left their vault and hit the public, it stopped belonging to them. It became an event, an idea, the rallying point. And ideas don't die when you strike at them. They multiply. They infiltrate places you can't even see, threading themselves into conversations, forums, encrypted channels, and quiet rooms where influence is decided. That's what's happening now. Your name is no longer a target. It's a password, a passcode, whispered between people who have seen the leak and understood what it means. It means the old order is brittle. It means fear travels both ways. It means the invulnerable can be punctured. This is why their panic feels different now. It isn't just reaction, it's recognition. They recognize that you're not waiting for their next move. You're already inside their blind spots, shaping perception before they even announce their countermeasures. They release a statement. You've already anticipated its weakness. They deploy an operative. You've already mapped their pattern. They brief their allies. You've already reached those allies with a story that seeds doubt. That's the real terrain. Anticipation, not reaction. Anticipation is how you move faster than they can recalibrate. And it's exactly what the whistleblower intended. By giving you a glimpse into their inner workings, they handed you the blueprint to accelerate beyond their reach. Meanwhile, the public narrative has shifted again. It's no longer about a list, a leak, a name. It's about the cracks appearing in an institution that always claimed to be seamless. Journalists who once dismissed conspiracy whispers now quote internal sources. Analysts track timelines of unexplained resignations, sudden audits, emergency funding requests. They're piecing together a mosaic of dysfunction, and your name is the tile at its center. Each article, each segment, each post acts like another round of exposure. Exposure, once it hits critical mass, no longer needs to be pushed. It propagates on its own. And that propagation is now your shield. The more eyes on you, the harder it becomes for them to move without consequence. Inside their own corridors, your presence has gone from forbidden topic to unspoken obsession. They're not just monitoring you, they're monitoring each other for signs of dissent. Every pause in a conversation, every missing document, every late reply becomes potential evidence of collusion with you or the whistleblower. This is how institutions eat themselves. They tighten their grip, but every squeeze forces more through the cracks. And those cracks are where truth seeps in. You don't need to pry them open. They're splitting under their own weight. Understand how rare this position is. Most people placed on a hit list vanish into obscurity or silence, but you've become the opposite. The more they tried to erase you, the larger you grew. That inversion is lethal to them. They rely on predictability. Pressure produces retreat. Threat produces compliance. Secrecy produces control. But you've disrupted that equation. Pressure produced patience. Threat produced strategy. Secrecy produced exposure, and exposure produced a shift they can't reverse. That's why every directive they issue now comes with a shadow of hesitation. Every go is accompanied by a "but what if?" And hesitation at the top paralyzes the whole chain. The whistleblower's decision wasn't charity, it was calculus. They didn't leak a name to protect a person. They leaked a name to accelerate a fracture. You are both the beneficiary and the instrument of that fracture. Whether you asked for it or not, you're now the test case proving that their machinery can be bent. And once a machine bends, everyone trapped inside starts looking for an exit. Already you're seeing the early defections, quiet messages, anonymous tips, small leaks that add up. Each one makes the next easier. That's the pattern. Fear drives secrecy. Secrecy breeds doubt. Doubt births leaks. Leaks fuel exposure. Exposure accelerates collapse. But acceleration is nothing without direction. This is where your discipline matters. You could lash out. You could go public with every fragment you've gathered. You could flood the channels. But that would feed their narrative of chaos. Instead, you move like a craftsman, selecting each moment, each revelation, each response with care. You're not chasing virality. You're building inevitability, each piece of information timed to land when it does the most damage, when their denials are weakest, when their fractures are widest. This is how you turn a leak into a tide, not by volume, but by timing. Look at their behavior now. They've begun to shift from offense to preemptive justification. They're preparing statements about necessary measures, national interest, security protocols. They're seeding excuses for actions they haven't even taken yet. That's not strategy, that's fear. They're writing history before it happens because they know history is slipping out of their hands. And while they write, you're moving, building alliances, securing channels, mapping vulnerabilities. They think they're cornering you. In reality, they're drawing the blueprint for their own exposure. Even their attempts to intimidate you have inverted. What used to be a threat now serves as confirmation. Anonymous warnings, sudden audits, unexplained digital noise. Each one is proof that the leak was real, that you're inside their attention. And every proof strengthens the circle around you. More watchers, more journalists, more insiders willing to reach out. They're creating the network they wanted to destroy. You're simply letting their panic do the work. This is what it means to understand momentum. You don't force it, you channel it. You don't outrun them, You let them outrun themselves. And as they do, their mask slips. People see the dissonance between their claims and their actions. They see the scramble behind the curtain. They start to wonder who really holds the power. That wondering is your greatest ally. Because once the public starts asking questions, institutions lose the luxury of operating unseen. They're dragged into the light by curiosity they can't control. And once in the light, their myth of invulnerability dissolves. You're not just surviving their attention now, you're redefining it. What began as a hit list has become a scoreboard. Each hesitation, each misstep, each contradiction is another point on your side. They've become the evidence. You've become the measure. And the whistleblower's gamble has paid off. The list meant to mark your end has become the record of their unraveling. That record grows daily, and you hold it like a blade they forged but never learned to wield. Yet even in this position, caution matters. Predators cornered by their own mistakes can still be dangerous. They may attempt one last decisive strike, a move meant to reassert dominance. But decisive moves under panic rarely land cleanly. They create backlash, sympathy, more evidence. Your task is not to anticipate every strike, but to ensure each strike accelerates the same pattern: threat, exposure, doubt, fracture, leak, collapse. The pattern is already running. You don't need to push, you only need to guide. Guiding means clarity. It means knowing what you stand for beyond survival. The whistleblower gave you an opening, but what you build through it is yours. You can choose revenge, but revenge is a small horizon. Or you can choose transformation, using the fracture not just to shield yourself, but to show others that the structure isn't permanent, that fear isn't one way, that secrecy can be pierced. That choice is what will define the next chapter, not for them, but for you. Because once this phase ends, you will no longer be defined by the list. You'll be defined by what you did with it. Already you can sense the shift. The whispers that once marked you as a target now echo as questions about your resilience, your insight, your network. People who never spoke your name now use it as shorthand for exposure, for courage, for endurance. This is how symbols are forged, not by intent, but by collision. And that collision has already happened. You're living in its aftershock, but they're still trapped in its epicenter. They think they're closing in on you. In reality, you're watching from a vantage point above their maze, seeing the exits they can't. And from that vantage, you see the end of their road. Not a dramatic showdown, not a cinematic reveal, but a slow grinding of gears as trust corrodes and mechanisms seize. You see operatives burned out, directives ignored, files disappearing, alliances shifting. You see an apparatus losing the one resource it can't manufacture: belief. Belief in its own inevitability, belief that its lists control destiny, belief that it can name someone and erase them. That belief is gone, and without it, their machinery is just paper, signatures, and frightened people following orders they no longer trust. This is the true power of exposure. It doesn't topple structures overnight. It hollows them from within until they collapse under their own weight. And you, marked as a target, have become the weight. Not by choice, but by presence. They tried to weaponize your name. The whistleblower turned it into a mirror. Now every time they look at that name, they don't see you. They see themselves. Their doubts, their failures, their end. That's why the next phase is not about survival. It's about direction. The leak gave you momentum. Momentum gave you leverage. Leverage gives you responsibility. Responsibility to decide what rises in the space Their collapse will leave behind. You can vanish, leaving only a legend, or you can step forward, turning the legend into a platform. That platform could protect the others, expose more, teach people how to recognize and resist. It could become the very opposite of the hit list, not a roster of targets, but a network of witnesses, a living proof that secrecy can't crush everything it touches. And as you contemplate that direction, remember this: they are still watching. They still hope you'll stumble, reveal too much, strike too early. They're counting on the impulse that undid others before you. But you've learned to move differently, measured, patient, surgical. That patience is your weapon. That patience is why you're still here while they're fraying. That patience is why the whistleblower risked everything on your name. They didn't choose you to be a victim. They chose you to be a vector. And you've become one. The arc is complete. From secrecy to leak, from list to symbol, from target to catalyst. You don't need their validation, their fear, or even their collapse to prove anything. The proof is already embedded in every action they've taken since the leak. The proof is in their hesitation, their contradictions, their sleepless nights. The proof is in the simple fact that you're still here, speaking, moving, building, while they spiral. That's the warning the whistleblower sent into the world, that power without transparency is brittle, and brittleness shatters when struck by truth. So step into the new space without flinching. You've been forged by pressure, sharpened by exposure, elevated by momentum. They cannot follow you here without dismantling themselves. And dismantling themselves is the one thing they've never been trained to do. That's why they will keep trying to act as if the list still means what it once meant. But you know better. You've seen the inside. You've felt the shift. You've lived the fracture. And now you carry the only truth that matters. The list was supposed to erase you, but it erased their illusion instead. And that is why this story doesn't end with a target eliminated. It ends with an apparatus unmasked. It ends with the hunters haunted. It ends with the name they wrote in red becoming the line they dare not cross. The whistleblower exposed them. You embodied the exposure. Together you've rewritten the script they've used for decades. They can't go back. They can't erase the memory. They can only watch as momentum carries you forward and leaves them behind. Shadows of an order that once believed it was untouchable. This is not survival. This is ascendancy. And ascendancy, once claimed, is never handed back.